Hello everyone, sixth preparatory lessons and exercises. Literature focus, section B, The Canary by Catherine Mansfield. A. كاترين مانسفيلد كاترين مانسفيلد هذه قصة قصيرة عن حياتها. كاترين مانسفيلد والشامب موراي 14 أكتوبر 1888 إلى 9 يناير 1923 توفت، وهكذا. إذن هذه قصة كاترين مانسفيلد. سأقرأ عليكم الإنجليزي فقط. أوكي، الإنجليزي فقط. You see that big nail to the right of the front door? I can scarcely look at it even now, and yet I could not bear to take it out. I should like to think it was there always, even after my time. I sometimes hear the next people saying, there must have been a cage hanging from there, and it comforts me. I feel he is not quite forgotten. You cannot imagine how wonderfully he sang. It was not like the singing of the other canaries. And that isn't just my fancy. Often from the window, I used to see people stop at the gate to listen, or they would lean over the fence by the milk orange for quite a long time, carried away. For instance, when I'd finished the house in the afternoon, I changed my clothes and brought my sewing onto the veranda, to the veranda. Here, he used to hop from one page to another, tap against my bars, as if to attract my attention, sip a little water, just as a professional singer might, and then break into a song so exquisite that I had to put my needle down to listen to him. I can't describe it. I wish I could. But it was always the same every afternoon, and I felt that I understood every note of it. I loved him. How I loved him. Perhaps it does not matter so very much what it is one loves in this world, but love something one must. Of course, there was always my little house and garden, but for some reason they were never enough. Flowers respond wonderfully, but they don't sympathize. Sympathize. I loved the evening star, but after he came، يعني تقصد الكناري والكناري. But after he came into my life, I forgot the evening star. I did not need it anymore. But it was strange when the Chinaman who came to the door with birds to sell held him up in his tiny cage, and instead of fluttering like the poor little goldfinches, he gave a faint, small chirp I found myself saying, just as I had said to the star over the gum tree, that you are my darling, that you are my darling, from the moment he was mine. It surprises me even now to remember how he and I shared each other's lives. The moment I came down in the morning and took the cloth off his cage, he greeted me with a drowsy little nod. I knew it meant Mrs. Mrs. يعني يقصدها لها مسز كلمة السيدة التي تحوي Mrs. Then I hung him on the nail outside while I got my three young men their breakfast, and I never brought him in to do his cage until we had the house to ourselves again. Then, when the washing up was done, it was quite a little entertainment. I spread a newspaper over a corner of the table, and when I put the cage on it, he used to beat with his wings, despairingly, as if he didn't know what was coming. You are a regular little actor, I used to scold him. I scrubbed the tray, dusted it when fresh sand, filled his seed and water tins, and tucked a piece of chickweed, and have a chili between the bars. And I am perfectly certain he understood and appreciated every time of this little performance. You see, by nature, he was acquisitive, company. You see, that was what he was, perfect company. If you have lived alone, you will realize how precious that is. Of course, there were my three young men who came in to supper every evening, and sometimes they stayed in the dining room afterwards reading the paper. But I could not expect them to be interested in the little things that made my day. But I remember feeling so especially thankful that I was quite alone that evening. I told him after they had gone out, I said, "Do you know what they call Mrs.?" And he put his head on one side and looked at me with his little bright eye until I could not help laughing. It seemed to amuse him. Have you kept theirs? If you haven't, all this must sound perhaps exaggerated. Exaggerated. People have the idea that bears are heartless, cold little creatures, not like dogs or cats. My my washerwoman used to say every Monday when she wondered why I didn't keep a nice fox terrier, "There is no comfort, miss, in a canary." And true, dreadfully near and true. I remember one night I had a very awful dream. And after I had woken up, I could not get over it. So I put on my dressing gown and went down to the kitchen for a glass of water. It was a winter. It was a winter night and raining hard. I suppose I was still half asleep, but through the kitchen window it seemed to me the dark was staring in, spying, and suddenly I felt it was unbearable that I had no one to whom I could say, I have had such a dreadful dream, or hide me from the dark. I even covered my face for a minute, and then there came a little sweet, 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 said the darling little fellow again, softly, as much as to say, I am here, missus. I am here. That was so beautifully comforting that I nearly cried. I nearly cried. And now he is gone. He is gone. He has gone. He is gone. I shall never have another bird, another pet of any kind. How could I, when I found him lying on his back, with his eyes dim and his claws wrung, when I realized that never again should I hear my darling sing, something seemed to die in me. My heart felt hollow as if it was his cage.